We'll call the meeting to order. First thing is Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under
God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Don't unplug, I'm on the phone.
Ray? Roll call.
Mr. DeYoung,
Here.
Mr. Kometz,
Present remotely.
Mr. Moran,
Here.
Mr. Paradisio,
Here.
Mr. Janowick,
Here.
Chief Flores,
Here.
Chief Willman,
Here.
Mr. Schilling,
Here.
Mr. Phillips,
Here.
Attorney Decker,
Here.
anyone else I need to know?
All right, now we need approval of the minutes from the meeting of February 28th, 2020.
I'll approve the minutes.
Second.
Can I get the names on that?
Ray.
Motion made by Mr. Paradisio, seconded by Mr. DeYoung. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Monthly reports, Chief Willman.
During the month of April of 2020, the St. John Fire Department responded to a total of 126 requests for assistance. There are 100 calls in District 1, which is in the incorporated limits of St. John. There were 20 in District 2, which is within the unincorporated limits of St. John Township. And there were 6 in District 3, which is all other destinations, including mutual aid. Mutual aid this month was to Cherville Fire and EMS, Cedar Lake Fire and EMS, and to Lake Hills. The specific Monday night activities for the fire department continued to be canceled during the 2020 due to the overwhelming public health concerns and restrictions associated with the COVID-19 pandemic that has crippled and almost paralyzed the entire nation. Access to the public safety facility has been restricted to the general public, with the exception of the main floor and second floor lobbies that provide a bulletproof barrier to protect employees that are on duty from any physical or airborne harm. Those barriers have been in place since the building was built. They continue to provide protection for employees and access for residents. Volunteers/paid on-call members of the fire department are only permitted to respond outdoor requests for assistance, such as structure fires, motor vehicle crashes, and other outside emergencies, such as violent storm damage or grass fires. This has been designed to protect everyone that we possibly can, St. John Fire personnel and also St. John Fire Department family members. We have taken advantage of a decrease in calls and activity with both the full-time and part-time off-duty staff. Some of our senior staff members have spent several hours in the fire vehicles, helping new members and new part-time members to become more familiar with the unique characteristics of the different emergency response vehicles in our fleet. That has provided a chance for drivers' training, which does not always get the proper attention that it should. It also helps all of them to become more familiar with the new streets in our town. And I'll just give you a few highlights from EMS. We had contact with 99 patients in April. 66 of them we transported. 52 of them were ALS, 14 was BLS. And as far as residents to non-residents, we had 50 residents and 16 non-residents. Thank you.
You finished, Chief?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Chief Flores?
Okay, from April 1st through April 30th, the members of the St. John Police Department logged 24,152 miles and responded to 370 law incidents. The investigation of these incidents led to 6 arrests with 11 charges being filed. There were 18 traffic citations issued along with 1 warning. for total 19 citations being issued during the month. Vehicle thefts totaled $262,199. Other thefts totaled $4,405, and recovered property totaled $130,150. Couple things, the numbers have been pretty low lately as far as traffic enforcement. Obviously, with everything that's been going on with the coronavirus, we've been limiting our contact as much as possible to keep our officers safe. They were still enforcing traffic laws, but we weren't working as many grants. It was basically limited to things that they absolutely needed to stop to keep themselves safe. So, as Chief Woolman said, we made some safety precautions that we did at the police department. We did have a couple scares with some of our officers that were in contact with somebody with COVID-19. One of them in particular was put on quarantine, but he's fine. He never had any symptoms or anything like that, so he's back to work. So the other ones were okay as well too. We didn't have to end up sending anybody for testing. And that was, under doctor's orders and consulting with them, they felt that they were okay to come back to work. So they're all doing okay. So luckily, through all this, everything went pretty well. We had a few incidents where people were calling about, certain places being open or people gathering at certain parks and so on and so forth, but it wasn't a ton, so which is good. So. So we're kind of getting back into the swing of things and doing some more enforcement and getting out there and enforcing more traffic laws and so on and so forth. So we also started a task force that we kind of started with Cherville and Dyer as well. Being recently, we've had an influx of car thefts and burglary to motor vehicles. So we've had a ton of, not only in St. John, but it's been all in the Tri-Town area, pretty much throughout Lake County as well, too. A large group of people coming here, going through cars, stealing stuff out of cars, robbing. There's a Family Express was robbed. There was other gas stations and surrounding and jurisdictions that were robbed. So to combat that, we put this task force together, and they specifically are doing aggressive patrols, getting into neighborhoods, calling in garage doors, looking for suspicious people, suspicious cars, and they're doing it in all jurisdictions. Just to give you an example, the sheriff's department and the sheriff got involved in it as well too, so he's participating in it. Friday night, we had probably close to 40 officers out that specifically for that alone. So we pretty much worked from 231 to 8094 and 41 to State Line. And we just targeted neighborhoods all over the place, just trying to catch these people. So we got it, stolen cars, some probably 3 or 4 guns out of some cars, some drug cases. Later on in the morning, Hobart got into pursuit with a truck that we believe was associated with this group. So it's working well, and it's going good, and the cooperation between the 3 towns has been phenomenal. So that's going as well, and hopefully everything continues to go the way we are with the COVID-19 situation, and we get things back on track. So that's all I got.
New business, Chief Woolman?
None for this evening, thank you.
I'm sorry, I can't quite hear you.
None for this evening.
Okay,
no.
thank you. Chief Flores?
I got a few things that would be quick. The first item I had was the pre-approval for the secondary emergency hire candidate, which would be contingent upon the town council's approval. I reached out to the council members, and it seems to be in favor of them approving it at their next meeting. They already did approve the funding for it, so the funding's there. The only thing we need from the council and to the safety board is just approval to move forward with the hire. So spoke to Councilman Schilling about it, and he seems that we should have a favorable recommendation at their next meeting from them to go ahead and approve it. So that, the next candidate on the list was Daryl Schaefer, and I sent that information to you guys and about the candidates. So I'm looking to get that approved for tonight, again, contingent upon the council's approval at their next meeting. And any questions, I can answer them.
Did I get a motion to approve the emergency hire pending town council approval?
Yeah, I'll make that motion to, for the approval for the second emergency hire.
The second?
I'll second it.
This is Rob, I second the motion.
I'm sorry, what? I have a motion by...
I'll second that.
Yeah,
Rob,
I have a motion by Mr. Moran, seconded by Mr. Paradisio. All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
thank you, gentlemen, appreciate it. The new hire process, I know we talked about that for new candidates at the last meeting. I think...
If I could interrupt for 1 second,
Sure.
because we do have remote attendance, every vote has to be a roll call vote.
Oh, good point, yes.
Okay.
So I will go ahead and take roll call vote for that. Mr. DeYoung?
Aye.
Mr. Kmetz?
Aye.
Mr. Moran?
Aye.
Mr. Paradiso?
Aye.
Mr. Janowick?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. As far as the new hire process, I think I'm going to postpone that with everything going on. We'll just kind of play it by ear, schedule events, and when we're going to do that. I'm hoping once July 4th, when the governor opens everything up, we can start that process, because we're going to probably have to use the school for the portion of it. So right now, I don't think the school would let us in right now with everything going on until some things open up. So once we get to that July date, probably next month's meeting, I'll have a tentative schedule to give to you, to present to you with that process. So just wanted to update you on that. Officer Califf, he's on his own now.
Chief,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Are you staying with the same, I know you had mentioned the one company that you used. Was St. John looking to do RFPs or look for different?
Yeah, we've used that,
Stenard, I believe you said?
yes, yeah. And their entry-level exam seems to be pretty decent. I think we'll probably just stick with that.
Okay.
So,
I know it's been a couple months since we talked about
Yeah.
it, so I didn't know if with new leadership in here, if there was RFPs or anything going out, if you're just gonna.
yeah, I think we're just going to stick with them. Yeah. Officer Califf's doing well. He's on his own, cut loose now. He's doing really good. He's fitting in really well. Just wanted to update you on that. He's on solo patrol. The identity agreement with the town of Lowell for the range use, I sent to, I think did I send it to all you guys? I'm pretty sure I did. Okay. If you had a chance to review that, that also was sent to the attorneys as well too, and, they looked it over and are good with it. So basically, all we would need is a signature from Mr. Janowick to approve that agreement. So the way that works is anytime we use it, if we get whatever the charge is, it just comes out of our training budget. So I think it's like $125 a day, and that's just for upkeep and maintenance and cleaning the range there when we do use it. So that would just come, like I said, out of our training budget. We just need the agreement signed by a town official, which Mr. Janowick can do, and we'll send that to Lowell.
It still requires the board approval though, right?
Yes, it does, yes.
Well, then I'll...
Wait, it's the police commission, the safety board's approval? Okay,
Yes,
so that'll be in form of a motion you're looking for?
correct.
Okay.
Yes, please.
I'd take a motion to approve the identity agreement with the town of Lowell for the use of their range.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. DeYoung. Is second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Moran. All in favor?
Roll call. We got to do roll call.
Oh, that's gonna be, I'm sorry. Okay, roll call.
Roll call vote, and if we could get a slight amendment to that, I believe we also need authorization for the board president, board chair to sign, board president to sign.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
We need authorization for the board president to be the only one to sign. So authorization for the board president to sign.
Okay.
We need a motion for the authorization for the board president to sign.
I'll make that motion for the board president to
Just need to
sign.
amend your motion.
Okay, make a motion to amend.
Okay.
You just say I amend my motion, if you agree with what she said.
All right, so we have a motion to amend the original motion then, that the board president signs?
No, she just wants you to amend the motion on the table, just to add that the
Okay.
president signs it.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm a little confused.
Mr. Moran just needs to say I amend my motion, and then, yeah.
Yeah, I amend the motion
Right.
to include that you sign.
Okay, I understand.
There you
now. All right. So now we can do the roll call.
Okay, and that was Mr. DeYoung that made the motion and Mr. Moran that seconded, is that correct?
Correct.
I think Mr.
Okay.
Moran made the motion, Mr. DeYoung seconded it? Or am I backwards? Did she have it right?
She's got it right.
She's got it right. You got it right,
Oh,
Margaret.
then
I
Okay.
apologize, I'm a little trouble hearing on those speakers.
you need to you need to amend your motion.
Okay.
So
Okay.
whoever made the motion needs to amend the motion.
All right, so I will make an amendment to the motion, to the original motion to authorize the safety board president to
president.
sign.
The identity agreement.
Yeah, that's-
And Mr. Moran, do you second that amendment?
I do second.
Okay. Roll call vote, Mr. DeYoung,
Aye.
Mr. Kmetz,
Aye.
Mr. Moran,
Aye.
Mr. Paradiso,
Aye.
Mr. Janowick.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. And the last thing I have is the towing contracts. Those were up in April. However, since we didn't have a meeting since then, they're going to be up for approval, which this is done annually. Basically, the RFPs go out to any tow firm that's interested in providing tow service to the town. And we're going to give them till June 15th to turn them in. So whoever's interested, they could pick up a packet at the police department Monday through Friday from 8 to 4, and see my administrative assistant. She'll have the packets available to them. They could pick them up there, fill them out, turn them in by June 15th, and then once we get them, I'll make copies of those as soon as we get them back and submit them to you, so you have time to review them for our June meeting. And then once we do that, we vote on, or you vote on which tow firms that the town is going to use. Currently, we use 3 tow firms, which is All Pro Towing out of Schererville. The second one is Kubiak's out of St. John, and Stan's here in St. John. So those are the 3 that we currently use. So I'm anticipating all 3 of those will probably turn one in again. And then we'll go from there and make the selection at the next meeting.
What is your rotation process for towing? Is that up to dispatch?
Yeah, the dispatch keeps log of it, and it just, it's a rotation there, yeah.
Have you generally just had 3? Have you had more? Is
We
there a-
had 2 forever. 3, in my opinion, is too much. We've had 2 for a long time. One of the All-Pro was added last year, I think it was. But, I think 2's way more than sufficient.
On the proposals, Chief, are you the one who's going to make the recommendations for the
Yes.
3?
Yeah, I'll recommend it to you, and then you make the final approval, yes.
Any other
Chief
questions?
Flores,
Yes, sir.
this is Adam Decker. I just wanted to clarify a point that the request for proposals, the deadline for submission is June 5th. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, yes, you are correct. Yes,
Okay.
Sorry
and
about
the
that.
opening would be on June 15th.
correct. You are right. I read
Okay.
that wrong, yes. So they'll go out tomorrow, and they'll be due June 5th by 4 PM. Yes, you are correct. And then the June 15th meeting is when they'll be approved and voted on. My apologies.
Anybody else?
I wanted to ask, how's the officer doing that was involved in the wreck?
She's good.
Good.
Yeah, she had a little bit of, she wasn't sure if her hand was broke. I think it was her right hand. It ended up being just, I guess, when she wrecked, her hand, I think, hit the computer and caused a little bit of like temporary nerve damage to where she couldn't have full mobility of her hand. But ever since then, it's gotten better each day, and she's been going to see, she's got therapy. And I talked to her this afternoon, she said she's pretty much has full use of her hand, but she's probably another couple weeks just with therapy to get it back to where it needs to be. But everything seems to be fine. She's doing good, so thank you for asking.
I need a motion to approve the sending of the RFPs for the towing contract for the town. I'll make a motion. Mr. Paradiso made the motion, second.
Second.
Mr. DeYoung seconded it. Roll call. We have a roll
Mr.
call.
DeYoung?
Aye.
Mr. Kmetz?
Aye.
Mr. Moran?
Aye.
Mr. Paradiso?
Aye.
Mr. Janowicz?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay. And then public comment, obviously there's no one here. Do we know if anyone had emailed the town clerk over anything offhand?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay. I would just say, since there's no one else here, that I want to thank all the town employees and the police and fire department. The officers and the firefighters are all out in the front line dealing with this, while most of us weren't. And in addition, I want to thank Mr. DeYoung, who was also out in the front line, if people don't know that. And it can be a dangerous situation, and it's certainly unclear what's going on. And I just want to make sure they're all recognized, and we thank them.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I'd just like to.
Yes, thank
Chief
you
and
all.
Chief, I think you guys did a great job of what the other chiefs have been doing throughout the country and all the rest of keeping your people safe, but also maintaining the critical needs for the community. And thank you for what you did, and I think you guys did a great job as far as keeping your personnel safe also.
Thank you.
Anything else? Meeting adjourned.
It's the first time I've been out of the house